these Nexus. So continuing, we'll be grabbing this Nexus. This is good stuff up until here. Okay, you've killed the Nexus, you've achieved your goal. Ronald Reagan obviously has overwhelming forces. Grab up what units you have left and run for the hills. That's not happening here. Move actually just kind of sticking it out, and we'll be continuing to attack. And yeah, just kind of lost the rest of those units. You want this kind of harassment, the drops that you see, you want them to be hit and run. You want them to try to do as much damage while receiving no damage yourself. And that's the key purpose of these harassment tactics. Whereas, you know, Zerg have Mutalisks, and Mutalisks are expensive, but they're highly effective when you can just attack, and not receive any damage yourself. Sniping these pylons, sniping supply depots, running in there, shooting 5 or 6 probes or drones or whatever it is that you're going up against, grabbing that damage, and then retreating as the defending forces pull back. Now, Move here will be catching these Immortals out in the open. Ronald Reagan, of course, has his Elnaga Tower. He sees this. He knows what's going on. You don't want to leave forces out like this, especially expensive units like that. It'd be one thing if it was a probe or even a zealot, but Immortals, you don't want to leave the Immortals out there in the open like that. Ronald Reagan, of course, finally putting down a proxy pylon. Also want to make a quick note, I'm not sure why he put these photon cannons like that. There's going to be no Terran units coming up here, so in this direction, they're all going to be coming from the north, so not really sure like that. So you want to definitely flip that, as these pylons will definitely be sniped before the photon cannons. Move, meanwhile, seeing that, we'll be cleaning up the proxy pylon. Right now, Moof, though, hasn't expanded and hasn't moved these SCVs off his main. You definitely want to do that. We actually have a pretty large engagement going up here. Moof, though, seeing that this force is kind of overwhelming, trying to retreat back to his tanks. Good stuff, but the force is still just not going to be enough, as we see a nice concave by Ronald Reagan. This is the kind of attacks we needed to see from Ronald Reagan during the entirety of this matchup. This is what you want to do. This is thumbs up right now. What we saw earlier, definitely thumbs down. Move, though, being an extremely passive Terran player during this entirety of this game, there were several periods where Move had a force that he could have attacked with and actually could have done a lot of damage. I like the drop that we saw Move, but now Move has been so passive, has taken so long to do something. Ronald Reagan has a nice control, has 2 more expansions than Move does. And, you know, right now, Moof is just in a bad way because Moof is either going to have to snag the island or snag one of these, and then he's going to be behind, and he's got, you know, he's got all of these SCVs running off of one mineral line, and you don't want to have that. Even if it was just complete oversaturation of this, you don't want to have your units, I mean, all these SCVs on one thing. It's just a complete waste of them. Also, hello, call down these mules, baby. These mules are sitting in high orbit, just begging to come down there and mine those minerals, and that's really a huge aspect of Terran economy, is using these mules. Now, I mean, there's a lot of things that you want to focus on, but this is just one of those. This is something you want to keep your eye on, because that's why you get an orbital command. You get that for the mules, for the scans, not necessarily so much for the extra supplies, because the penthouses are kind of a waste, in my opinion. See, now there we go. We do see mule being called down, but hey, buddy, you've got 3 more mules in the bank. Why don't you call them all down? Let's take a real quick look at the income tab. Basically, Moof at this point is one-basing it. He's got all these lazy SCVs. Lazy SCVs are a bad thing, period. He's got medevacs. Go snatch up these. Oh, there we go. He heard me. Snatch up these SCVs. Take them to your island base. That's good stuff. Right there, that's quality. You want to do that kind of thing. But Move could have done it a lot sooner. Not sure why he's not filling up these other SCVs, as we do still have other... I'm sorry, why he's not filling up these medevacs, as there are other SCVs just sitting there. And we're going to see a lull here, but it kind of gives us time. Good placement of these tanks by Move. Putting them on the high ground. Maybe I would have backed them up just a little bit to try to dissuade sniping of these tanks. But definitely good stuff right there. Using the high ground. But Ronald Reagan just completely owning the map. Has the expansions. and just has an overwhelming force. I mean, if we look at the units tab, I mean, he's got 16 zealots, 6 immortals, and 6 stalkers. Of course, these immortals being a hard counter to these marauders, and a very, very good counter against these tanks, as the tanks, when siege mode, has a very slow attack. Of course, the hardened shield doing really well against slow attacks, as you see, reduces the damage to a maximum of 10. So it does well against these slow attacks. I mean, the great placement by Moof up here. Until Ronald Reagan had that Xel'Naga Towers vision, Moof would have had complete impunity right there. But, I mean, you know, there's just too many Marauders right here. He did get the Xel'Naga Tower vision, and Moof pretty much just got wrecked right there. Once again, though, these tanks up on the high ground, adding their firepower to this, you know, just pegging these immortals, doing a lot of damage. The tanks do, you know, the 50 versus armored, and these guys are obviously armored, but because these tanks' damage are so slow, they don't do so well against the low numbers of immortals, because you don't generally see immortals in high numbers like this. You do see 2 of them get sniped like that. So these tanks just raining out a bunch of hell down on 11 kills, 9 kills. This, of course, is Planetary Fortress being healed by Moof, so good stuff there. Moof, once again, sieging up these tanks up here. Of course, that bunker probably will burn to death, but Ronald Reagan, you know, losing a lot. And overall, he's lost a lot, but he's also gained so much more minerals than Moof has that he can afford it. I mean, he's got 3,000 in the bank. You never really want to have that much in the bank. He's got a lot of gateways. Their cooldowns are done. You don't want to. I mean, if you had that much, spawn your units and attack. Ronald Reagan's attacked a lot. They haven't necessarily been the most effective attacks. You want to have vision of the high ground, especially going up against those Terrans, because they do have the tanks. And we saw his forces completely get raped. In that point, I really would have felt that he wanted to move back, because there was a Planetary Fortress and there was the tanks. You're definitely against a hard place, or a rock in a hard place right there. These tanks just DPSing, the Planetary Fortress DPSing, it has 7 kills, the SCVs are healing it. Well, actually, these SCVs are just kind of loitering around, but when they were healing it, you just don't want to be there. Now, Ronald Reagan's done a good job of adapting his play and moving to Colossus. These Colossus will be able to see these tanks, will be able to kill these tanks, as these tanks are far and few between right now. I don't know about that tank, it definitely needs to move up. We've got lazy SCVs running around, and so really Moof right now, just kind of let them, he's just kind of dropped the ball, and right there, actually, I believe I just missed a attempted drop. I was running my mouth. Let's go ahead and see. Maybe. Oh, too far back. Anyway, we're just going to be cranking through this. I mean, you know, running through there, attacking, blah, blah, blah. Really just Moof has dropped the ball at this point. He hasn't done a good job of expanding. Hadn't even really done a good job of mining this natural until late. Oh, here we go. Yes, here's the drop. So, we have those medevacs. I can't even... Alright, let's see this. We see the 2 medevacs running across, not even actually being able to deploy properly. So, it's definitely sad face. And right now, Ronald Reagan just pretty much owns everything. He has a huge number of Colossus. If we see the units tab, it's 110 versus 173. And Moof is just kind of bringing his SCVs out here to augment these Thors, to try to heal the Thors, but it's not going to be enough. I'm going to tell you that right now, as you can probably tell. I mean, this huge horde of Zealots might have even been enough by themselves, but of course we do see the Colossus moving in here, and the Zealots charging, the Zealots getting in the face. We see tanks kind of shooting their own units right there with that splash damage and Moof. So, Ronald Reagan wrapping that game up, and just really, we saw a lack of counterattacks from Moof. I think that Moof could have countered and could have won the game early on. Extremely passive, not really doing much with his units. He had the good counter to the composition of Ronald Reagan early on, as he was only bringing out gateway units, and those Marauders just raped gateway units left and right. He even had the concussive shell, so good stuff there, just not being aggressive enough, and that's about being the battle awareness and just knowing what your opponent has and being able to take advantage of those situations. And, I mean, that's really just the key point I wanted to make with this. And I'm just going to leave y'all with that. So I have kept y'all long enough. That was a relatively long game. So let me know if you like this stuff, guys. If you want to see more of it, you want to see left it, thumbs up, thumbs down. You can always subscribe. Always heart you when you subscribe. Almost to 300. Almost. Just barely. I think I need like 3 more or something like that. So help me out with that, guys. So thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, citizens, farewell. Or no, as always, citizens, stay safe.